Hey guys, it's Keith. It is Thursday, it's the 9th of January, and this is a redo because I'm all flustered today. Look, I'm grieving. We all handle it differently, right? Um, I'm in LA, I'm in Echo Park, I'm safe and sound. For anyone concerned, I appreciate it. I have a lot of thoughts. I have more thoughts than feelings, I guess. The feelings that I've been having today and yesterday have been more like frustration, uh, annoyance, confusion, outrage at like the government failing us, our systems breaking down, our lack of preparedness, the possible laws and the political motivations of those laws that have gotten us into this trouble. Of course, I'm speaking of the fires in Los Angeles. Um, and I think this can come across a bit awkwardly, like in a autistic way. Like I don't have sympathy for the victims of the fire, um, and I want to really be careful to not come off like that because, of course, I can sympathize with anybody going through that kind of trauma of losing your home, for instance. I'm personally less affected. There's still ash falling from the sky into central LA, where I live, and the air quality is still not great. I debated wearing a mask today, walking Covey. I did not do that. Um, I'm fine. Christine has been staying here because in Los Feliz her power has been out. It's restored today. But that's more from the falling trees of the wind. That's not really fire related. But, it does get me wondering, like as a homeowner, for instance, like I wonder all the time, like, there's a tree in my front yard that I don't like. It's actually like on the city property, but it's like growing into the power lines and it could fall. A similar one next to it has fallen. I'd like to take it down. Like this is the kind of thing that the city should be thinking about. What are some of the dangers of having some of, like not every tree obviously, but some trees are dangerous. Similarly, like why don't we bury power lines? They're kind of dangerous exposed like that. The city of Beverly Hills has buried all of their power lines, and it makes sense. So these kind of thoughts, like, are the kind of thoughts that government officials and policymakers should be having. And I'm just really confused how we've let so much not be updated. This is like an infrastructure issue, and this is like a political issue that I care a lot about. So I'll touch on that as I go through some of my Reddit upvoted news articles from today and yesterday. Um, on my original post that I made today, sorry, my original vlog from a few hours ago, this happened live. I actually got these notifications. I got this notification on my phone. I took a screenshot of it at 3:57. Emergency alert. This is an emergency message from the LA County Fire Department. An evacuation warning has been issued in your area. Remain vigilant of any threats and be ready to evacuate. Gather loved ones, pets, and supplies. So, like, if I was able to properly record this with audio, you would have seen me in real time react to this and click on this link. This is interesting that I can do this from my Photos app. So I went here, and, like, it took a while to load. Maybe it got overloaded with everybody looking at it at the same time. It's a pretty bad website, like I was struggling with this, like I want to see the evacuation orders. This counts as news for me. This is real news, right? Like what areas are being affected directly by the threat of fire or intense smoke. And like look at this. Like I tried to put in my home address. If I just put in my zip code, like that should do it, Okay, it does, finally. This wasn't working earlier, and I was getting annoyed with the city. Maybe it was overloaded, but, like, look, this should be designed and streamlined so that 10 million people can go on at once and see the information, you know what I mean? This is my area where I live, and it's clear. You can see the outline, kind of the mountains. It's really the 5 here and the 101 here with Griffith Park. These are mountains, like this area with no real roads. Like I live in this, like Silver Lake and Echo Park are built into the mountains, similar to how Hollywood Hills, but they're like lower, so it's not like extravagant or anything. and then Glendale is beyond the mountains. So this fire, Glendale is here, Pasadena is here, the Verdugos are here, and the fire was in the San Gabriel Mountains, and that's gone downward into the San Gabriel Valley here. And then this is like this Montrose, La Cañada, Flint Ridge area. It's the Verdugos. It's between the Verdugo Mountains and the San Gabriel Mountains. And then up here, this is the valley. So this is the north of the valley. So this is nice that it shows this. And then this is the Santa Monica Mountains that are less populated. This is wilderness. This is Topanga here. And this is the Palisades that we all know by now. So I'm glad to see that this is a real resource that I can access and that the government texted it to me. So that's cool. I'm glad about that. Of course, they kind of flubbed it by texting the whole county, which is like, 15 million people, 10 to 15 million people. I'm not sure how they define the differences because LA Metro is bigger than the county. And LA County is larger physically than the metro. So it's a little hard to fully discern. But in any case, so that's that. We got this, and then 20 minutes later when I was live on camera here, never mind, sorry. It was for Kenneth Fire only. I don't even know what Kenneth Fire is, but fine. Christine had sent me this. I'll just show you this project that I did with her real fast. I won't go into the details of why her work needed this, but she was asking me if I could figure out, with my mapping expertise, a way to show the actual zip codes that have been affected by this fire. So I did that here. The way I did that was, all of us can of course go to Google Maps, and if you go to Google Maps now, you can see this amazing funny graphic with these dotted lines, pretty janky looking cartoon child's style cutout. This is the plume of smoke being generated from these fires into the Pacific Ocean. So that's pretty wild to see. Pretty cool that they can show that, even if it's badly animated. When you zoom in, you can see that the Palisades fire has affected this red area. So Google has some sort of access to figure out that this dotted line is appropriate to visualize the affected area. I don't know if this means that this is actual burnt to a crisp or just heavy smoke. I don't think that Santa Monica, this part, was actually burned down at all, but it was affected enough, right? So she was asking if I could figure out the actual zip codes within this dotted red line. And I have that ability because, as a enthusiast of maps, on my Google Earth map, I have found the California zip code overlay. So here, I've shown you a few times, we have LA County like that, and that white bit is downtown LA. If I overlay this, these are all the zip codes of all of California, and this is the area we're talking about. This is where the mountains come into contact with LA City, and the Palisades is a pretty unique area because it's the furthest west of LA City proper. I can even click here on city borders, and you can see that this green bit here is Los Angeles. This big funny shape. And so the Palisades are in LA proper, right before Topanga and then Malibu. Topanga is not an official city for some reason. Malibu is. Santa Monica right here is its own city. So anyways, I took a screenshot of that. Not of the city borders, of the zip codes like that. And then I overlaid that on a screenshot of the fire. So you can see here that I didn't fully label this because I did this really fast for her. There's the screenshot of the Google Maps fire line, and then I just put on top of that the zip codes, and then I just looked up the zip codes. So this is all 90272, which is like outlined in black. So that's like the most affected area, but then it spills over, and I had labeled that. I don't know where these labels went, but never mind. I had sent this to her. I don't know why those disappeared, but then going over, this is the Hollywood one. Like, I very much doubt that Beverly Hills 90210 was affected by that Runyon Canyon fire. I don't know if any direct houses burned down from that at all, because that was in a canyon that's open public space, and someone probably went in there and accidentally or purposefully lit a fire, which spread into an enormous catastrophe that we saw. Anyways, that's that one. And then, I just don't know if like this yellow bit that is shown here was affected, but maybe they got the evacuation warning out of an abundance of caution, right? Maybe they evacuated. I know that Christine's brother, who lives like right below Sunset Boulevard right here in Hollywood, he evacuated even though he didn't have to, because the evacuation line went to Sunset Boulevard. So he lived like down here, and he decided to leave just to be safe. But that fire was pretty contained. It happened later in the day, and the winds had died down. This one is at the north of the valley, and then this is like the one that I think is affecting LA the most. This is in Pasadena, Altadena, and it's just these 3 zip codes, but that's like the most destruction that I've seen. What's happened here is that since making this, it's gotten all messed up. But anyways, take my word, I guess I'll just show you that I had sent these to Christine. That one lays it out a little clearer. Those are the Hollywood ones. 90069, 90046 specifically was affected, and then it bled over a bit into 068. It wouldn't have crossed the 101 freeway, which is why this part wasn't declared an evacuation zone. It went just barely into 91604. That's the valley side of the canyon. She had found these images, so I used this to break it down, but this doesn't show zip codes. And this is here we go. This is what I sent her as the Eaton Canyon fire, Altadena being most affected, and then Pasadena, etc. So anyways, that was kind of interesting to make. Now let's get to some actual news analysis. I just wanted to show you guys what I had been looking at. First of all, I just want to make comments on these at least 5 dead in LA County firestorms, more than 1,000 structures lost. I don't think that death count is very valuable. 5 dead does not move me. Death, honestly, barely moves me. It depends, obviously, on the context. I think an assassination is more important than, some nobody that none of us care about. Sorry to be blunt about it, but if someone dies in sub-Saharan Africa, not to pick on sub-Saharan Africa, I'm sorry to remind you, you don't really care. It doesn't mean that these lives aren't valuable. It's just that they're not newsworthy. It happens all the time, right? The 5 dead here, maybe we'll hear about them, but it's likely people that didn't want to leave their houses and just didn't think it was a big deal and then were engulfed, which is sad. That is sad. But like 0 dead and like whole communities vanished with everyone having to drive up north, that would be worse. Right? Like, we have lost essentially a neighborhood, the Palisades, Pacific Palisades. That's the tragedy. All those homes are burned away. Never mind that those people are very wealthy and could easily afford building new on the land that they own, which is remaining probably very, very valuable. I'm just not moved by that. And I got into a bit of a thing with a buddy of mine, my friend Neil. He was telling me, like, Emily was evacuated in Glendale and 5 people died. Like, okay, like if you, like my response to him was like, I don't know what to say if 5 people dying is a tragedy for you. Like if that's how you process all of this, you and I are functioning on different wavelengths. You know what I mean? Like I just don't read the tragedy in that way. Similarly, like this one, like a moment of silence for all the little creatures who lost their lives. Heartbreaking, this person said. And if you go into this, I'm sure it's a lot of animal lovers that are like, good resources if you want to help out. This breaks my heart. A tragedy for every living thing in this area. Like, if your heart breaks for that, like, that's very sweet of you. I'm sure you're very maternal or paternal. It's really nice to know that people like that exist and that you care so much about every living thing. I find it really odd, like, go on safari, like, observe nature. Do you know how much suffering happens in the animal kingdom minute by minute? You know, you have, like, deer being torn to shreds while still alive by packs of wolves. You know what I mean? Like, have fun with that. You know what I mean? Like, good luck living a normal life if your heart breaks for the death of an animal. And I guess I sound a little callous or something, but I just don't process this kind of news in this way. It doesn't do much for me. Meanwhile, we have this, and this is kind of the highlight of my video today. Let's watch this together. And I'll warn you that this is, like, really ridiculous.
Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the call.
Why is the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So let's get it. Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I deserve to be on this call with you.
I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry. Especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids.
Good politics.
Losing to school.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me what are you...
Did you catch that? Did you catch what you just said? Why is this
building another? Lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another.
Like, this is how you lose sympathy, you guys. Like, I was going off against the rich yesterday. Like, the Pacific Palisades is one of the wealthiest places in the world. They lost 2 homes. They were living in one and they're building another, and now they're gone. Like, cry me a river. That means that you have, like, tens of millions of dollars and you will build a new home. You will go stay at, like, the Four Seasons for a week. You know what I mean? Like, again, if I'm speaking with you, I think we can all appreciate the horror of losing everything. But, like, what does it mean to lose everything? You know what I mean? Like, if your house burns down, if your or my home burns down, that is for us, like, everything. But if you have the assets in the tens of millions of dollars and you can afford 2 homes in the Pacific Palisades, living... I mean, look, let me just, like, do this. View of the ocean from the Pacific Palisades. Am I going to get anything from this? You know, like, if this is your view of, like, if this is your life, this is so privileged. You know what I mean? Like, look, I don't want to downplay the tragedy of a fire that could have been prevented. You know, we could have probably prevented this. Not because of climate change and, you know, living off the land in a healthier way, but by, like, just, like, building firewalls or having the hydrants full of water or having enough emergency assistance on hand when you know that winds are going to go up to 100 miles per hour. Like, it's preventable. And, like, to me, the whole lesson, the whole, like, point of this news cycle is how pathetic governments in the US, in the modern world, continue to be. You know, this was like the COVID lesson also. Like, wow, are we woefully unprepared? Where do our tax dollars go if not to defend ourselves from this sort of thing? That's my question. A Pacific Palisades home is remodeled to welcome a stunning ocean view. So this is like the people that we're like meant to like have a lot of sympathy for right now. Like, look, if I lived here, I would be very sad to lose this home as well, for sure. But the thing about most people that can live like this is that they'll do it again. They'll just, you know, it'll take some time to construct it, but don't worry. You'll get it. You'll get this back. Or not. I don't know. Look, it's sad. But, like, I just am putting this in context. I think that the other fire in the Eaton Canyon Hills is a little more tragic because, I mean, Pasadena is also, like, quite well-to-do, but not as much. The homes don't look like that. So that's a little worse. And I could imagine that those homes that have burned are actually, like, you know, like, the people that have to go into shelters and sleep on cots tonight, that sucks. That deserves true sympathy and reimbursements and stuff like that. Insurance better pay up in this case. But probably not, because I know personally how hard it is to get fire insurance in Los Angeles as well as earthquake insurance. Like, the things that are existentially threatening, no, these billion-dollar companies are actually going to keep all of your policy money and not reimburse you for that, because that's too risky for them. Should we finish listening to this woman?
Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild.
Why was there no water in the hydrants, Governor?
That's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to be. Of course.
What are you going to do?
I'm doing
To
everything
fill the
I can.
hydrants. I would fill them up personally, you know that.
I literally have.
I would fill up the hydrants myself.
I understand.
But would you do that?
I would do whatever I can.
But you're not! I see do you know there's water dripping over there, Governor? There's water coming out there. You can use it.
I appreciate it. I'm going to make the call to address everything I can right now, including making sure people
I'd
are
like
safe.
to make sure you do. Can I have an opportunity to at least tell people you're doing what you're saying you're doing? Could somebody have a contact? Can I have your contact information?
Right there.
So, like, this is very annoying. This woman puts a bad face on the victims, in my opinion. But her outrage is valid. Like, I also was wondering yesterday, like, why are these hydrants running out of water? Why aren't we able to contain? I mean, I know the winds made it impossible to contain, but, like, some of her outrage is totally valid. But, like, this is what journalism should be doing, not her. Like, journalists should be asking these questions. And, like, when I was turning on CNN, which Christine likes to watch, it was all these, like, human interest stories of, like, personal people that or that had to leave, and then they were just telling everyone, like, their whole message was like, if you get notification, you have to leave, don't just stay to die, like, get out. Like, this is not news, you know, like, leave it to our inept government to text us about when to leave. But, like, I don't need to be told by, like, you know, Kathy Griffin or somebody that I need to obey an evacuation warning. That's not newsworthy to me. Here's another way of politicizing things in a kind of cringe way. Amid Palisades fire, LA's first LGBTQ plus fire chief is proving lesbians get it done. Like, are you serious? You're taking a time right now to be like, rah, rah, we put a lesbian in charge of the fire department. And how did you get it done? You let the whole town of the Palisades disintegrate. Like, what did you get done? It's, like, really odd. Like, even if they had prevented it, I would think this was a stupid look. But the fact that you didn't even do it, you didn't prevent jack's shit. Like, you're proud of that? So this is, like, a really poor form way of politicizing this.
It's early Friday morning before you start to see some changes.
This is satisfying.
Friday, so we saw high fire danger. We have gusty Santa winds.
Boom.
South and Hong Kong.
Like, that's pretty cool.
Wind gusts at 20 to 30 miles.
So that kind of stuff works. And on that point, this is cool. Like, I don't know why this wasn't happening yesterday more so. Like, you know, this whole thing about, like, you know, Sarah Palin 10 years ago had this funny soundbite of, like, how is California in a drought? How are they running out of water? You're right by an ocean. And, like, that obviously overlooks the lack of technology for desalination plants. You can't drink seawater, obviously, but you can use it to dump on fires. And so you can see here in this image that all these planes and helicopters are, like, circling to the bay, picking up water and dumping it on these fires, which is great. I don't know why it's Canada that has to do it. I don't know why the US can't do it. I don't know why California, the 6th biggest economy in the world, can't just take all of its... We have so many Air Force bases in California. We have so many resources, especially with federal funding and help. Put the National Guard onto this. Like, we have so many planes and helicopters and vehicles and power to manage this, and we didn't do it. We're doing it now, which is good. But, like, I just find it, like, appalling that, like, this should be normal. It should just be like, oh shit, there's a huge fire coming out. Get the helicopters there now. Drop it onto the fires. Why is Canada doing it for us? This bothers me because this alarmist headline, I am in hell, all caps. Like, red is not hell. Like, how... Like, do you have, like, a kindergartner's understanding of the world if you think that fire equals damnation? You think you're burning in hell because there's parts of the city that are on fire? And it also really bothers me because this was posted in our Los Angeles, and I had made a post how am I going to do this? I'm going to show you, if I view my profile, I posted this yesterday because this landed in my yard, and I thought this was really eerie, especially like given what it says. It almost looks intentionally burned like that. I have a hard time imagining that this large piece of paper burned exactly like that landed from the Eaton fire all the way over 2 mountain ranges into my yard. Maybe. But I posted that like anyone else, or like, isn't this interesting? Sorry, this post has been removed by the moderators of our Los Angeles. And the message they gave me was, shit's on fire, yo. All posts will be removed. Please use the fire threads. Okay, so this got removed, but this is allowed to be posted and scare everybody, you know? And of course you have all these comments. So this is cool, frighteningly beautiful. Like, I kind of think that there is a real beauty here, you know? I come from this like American Beauty generation of like seeing the deep beauty in things. There was a post on the Enlightenment subreddit of like how hauntingly beautiful some of these images are, and I felt that way looking at the sky yesterday. Like, it was so hazy and orange and pink that it was quite gorgeous. Today less so, but still nice and eerie. So anyways, that's some of the stuff I've been looking at. Donald Trump says, one of the best and most beautiful parts of the USA, nice, is burning down to the ground. It's ashes, and Gavin Newscum should resign. This is all his fault. Say what you will about Trump, but that is a good tweet. Juvenile, but good. And like Newsom, like in that interview, him talking to that woman, like, it has to be different next time. Like, hello, why not last time? Like, now you're gonna get on it and get into fire preparedness? You had 8 years to do that. We've had these kind of wildfires growing for years. We've had droughts for years. And it's just kind of wild to me that, like, I'm not sure what it is. I guess it's ineptitude, the same way we got these stupid evacuation notices. I guess it's just ineptitude that people in office, the people that govern us, the people that we elect, can't give us good information on time, can't provide preparedness in time, can't get their shit together. And I find it embarrassing. And that's just it with all of this. Like, that's why I'm using this, like, platform right now with you guys. Like, I just don't, you know, this is what I told Nora. I was only affected by smoky air and floating ash, luckily maintained power throughout, just concerned about our city and state leaders and disaster preparedness. She says, glad you're okay, it's so awful. Nora, I'm not sure if you're talking like, oh, it's so sad that people are losing their homes, versus it's so awful that our government is not adept at challenges. Like, to me, that's what I'm still feeling today. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to go back to some things that are more fun, more interesting for me. I'll keep an eye on this, but like I'm pretty satisfied with this is bleak. This is funny. This is a callback to the COVID thing with him eating at Chez Panisse or whatever. This is really good. Anyways, like I like to follow the local stuff. The national stuff is very alarmist and, you know, just chasing viewers. But yeah, LA is not gone. Like this is not, I have to remind people, like I was worried for a second because yesterday I was talking about like how this is not as big of a deal as people are saying. And after saying that, Runyon Canyon caught fire and people in Hollywood started vacating. And I was starting to think like, oh, okay, this could get very real, you know? And if the winds continued for days and days, you would have more and more accidents or arsonist opportunities such that a lot more of the city could start actually burning. That didn't happen, but I think it's shown that like I was kind of resting assured that there's not enough timber inside the city for things to catch fire that badly. And I'm eating my words only to the extent that so many actual structures were destroyed in the Palisades, in the town of the Palisades, and in Eaton Canyon. Like, that is more than it should have been. You know what I mean? Like, I would hope that wildfires would stay in the forest. And the fact that they were able to come into the city and that the winds could carry them and light up these houses. First of all, we should not be building out of wood. We should be using, you know, fire retardant materials. Concrete doesn't burn. I think there's a lot of lessons here, but I think a big one is like how delicate and precious civilization is, like physically and metaphorically. Like people are literally like thinking that the world is ending and that I can't believe LA County just pulled a jump scare. You know, like when I got that, I was like, what? This can't be right. Like I did not think that I should start packing up because I knew that the winds had died down, that the fires were getting controlled. Like this afternoon, like I could tell this morning already, like this is better than yesterday. You're not just going to have these massive fires out of nowhere on a clearish, in terms of wind, day, you know? So that didn't make any sense to me that we were getting alarmed like that. This is kind of me. This is literally us. But, like, the thing is that this image is deceiving because in this picture, it's not that we're living with fire about to swarm and consume us. These are isolated, these places, and I showed you the map yesterday. These are isolated places. They're places that are very prone to burning, especially when you don't clear out brush, which I hope we start paying attention to. I hope that becomes a big phrase in the next couple weeks, clearing brush. I want everyone to be thinking about that. Is it possible? Can't we steward our environment for the protection and flourishing of humankind? Can't we be more involved in nature? Can't we control nature better? Like, this is what we need to be doing. And I don't think this is a very fair joke because I felt fine in terms of my own safety yesterday, even though these fires were roaring. Like, I knew that they weren't going to come into Echo Park. I wasn't 100% sure, but I was like 90% sure. I was sure enough to like watch my normal programming on TV instead of the news all night and go to bed, you know, safe and sound, so to speak. So I just don't think, I don't know. There's a lot to still unpack here and I'll save it for next time, but just wanted to share that with y'all today. All right, guys. Ciao.